So I don't really like using a mic, but I'm gonna do it because I don't really know how loud I am. So just raise your hand if I'm too loud. My name is Jorge Correa, and my question is, what creates individuality? They're like, why is everybody so different? If they want a why question, put it in my bad. No. Yeah. No. I think it's going backwards. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so my personal story, how I got here was, like, as a kid, at a very awkward age, I was like 6, 7. I moved from Logan Square to West Lawn. So for those of you that know, as two very different communities, it's crazy. But you know, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to act, so I didn't essentially know who I was. You know, I went from a Chicago public school to a Catholic school. I didn't know how to react. I didn't know like how to make friends because you know everyone there was like predominantly white, and I was like not. So it was hard. But I actually had my brother. He's not my brother, but my brother. He was on the block. First day I moved in, he just came over. And he's like, "You want to go rollerblading?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's go." But I don't have rollerblades. So he gave me one, and he had one. So we were just, you know, just pushing around. And he introduced me to this anime called Naruto, and it's I don't care, it's anime. I'm not a lame. I'm gonna be Hokage, it don't matter. But this anime taught me so much. Like I'm just gonna narrow it down to this. He wasn't respected. He wasn't loved. He had no family, nothing. He was just a boy in a village that had nothing, no one to rely on. No companionship, nothing, like straight nothing. But growing up, finding friends, like being who he truly is what made him the person who he is. He became Hokage, which is the most respected person in the village, and he said he was going to do that his whole life, and he finally did it. And one episode, or if you read it, but one episode he was talking to, basically, I'm just gonna say this guy was trying to like destroy the world, whatever. And he said he wears a mask. His name is Obito, and he said, "I wear the mask because I don't care who I am. I don't care who people see me as. Like I care about what like I want, what I want to see everything as." And Naruto was mad. He was PO'd because his whole life he had to work just so people could see him as a great ninja, a great person. And this man didn't care who he was or who his name was. So that hit home because it's like, my whole life I'm trying to find who I am, and like that showed that you have to cherish who you are, and to cherish who you are, you have to get there first by realizing what makes you an individual. And next slide. Thanks, Chris. Shout out, Chris. So the first step in research was twins. I wanted to research identical twins because these are people that are born with the same type of genome, basically. Like they're basically they're identical, but I was listening to a podcast on NPR, and it was about identical mice. So like people usually do experiments with mice because they're very identical, and it was crazy because they did experiments where there was 2 mice and they would put them through different experiences. And one experience is there were different floors, and they would see which mice would travel to the different floors, which ones would stay. So essentially they were finding out which ones became introverts and extroverts, just like the twins. Well, not those, because they were both extroverts, but Cody was kind of, if y'all know what this is, y'all have to. Cody was more of an introvert, Jack was more of an extrovert, and it was finding how 2 identical beings could essentially become different people. And it was with that they found that one of the mice, the extrovert, the one that became the extrovert, had an experience, just one experience that he went through, like a situation he experienced that made him more of an extrovert. So with that experience, he used it to create more experiences that were essentially the same or essentially different. Basically, he became more outgoing, more like he explored the habitat more, as opposed to the introvert, which didn't have that one experience and stayed an introvert, and essentially like the introvert died, but that's not, I mean, don't be an introvert. Next slide. And this is a story about a pug. The pug isn't Jake, but the owner's Jake. I never learned about his name. He didn't say it in the article. But it was crazy because this pug, or not Jake, I don't know the pug's name, but the pug, he was abused by his previous owner, and the owner, Jake, had found him in a shelter. And I'm very passionate towards dogs, so this hit home like a lot, because I had adopted a dog who was blind in one eye, and it was really hard to take care of him, but we put through it because we loved him. And this is kind of a similar story because this pug, he was abused, and he didn't know how to trust people. He was hopping around on one leg because the previous owner had abused him so much that he lost it. Not one leg, 3 legs, my bad. So it hit home because the owner said that the pug had essentially changed his life. It taught him how to be compassionate. It taught him how to care. It taught him how to love, how to trust. And the same for the dog, because the story of Jake and his pug, I'm going to just read that, signifies the ability to forgive and how the pug has influenced his owner. So the decision that the owner made, the hard decision, because he didn't think he would be able to take care of him, but the hard decision that he made to take care of him led to the compassion that the pug had for the owner, and he was able to forgive humans and love the owner, even though his past didn't allow him to. And this is an interview with my friend Michelle. She's right there. She hiding, right there. So I was just asking her a bunch of questions. Honestly, at the time, none of them made sense to me, but I asked them. And none of her responses made sense to me. I thought she was just like, going through it just to get through it, but it made sense. It was like the middle of the night. But at one of the questions I asked her what her purpose on this earth was, and she had said she was living because she's told to. And she was going through a hard time as well, so she was living because she was told to. And later on in the interview, she was explaining to me that she will find the reason she was put on this earth. And she just kept going. And I think one of the questions was like, what do you see the potential in people? And she said, as much hate that is in the world, there's also a lot of love. So like, basically with Michelle's interview, it just taught me one thing, and that was like, hope, Like, Jake had hope for his dog, essentially, and he had hope for, that he would love again. And hope is like a really big thing in this world. It's not my solution, but I'm just like saying, hope is really big. If you want, you can talk to Mr. Patel. I don't think he's in here, but hope is probably one of the biggest factors in happiness, in success. Snaps. And so with all that, I found my question to get my solution. So how to be different and love yourself for it. And all those experiences taught me, these are my solutions, by the way, these are my solutions. But all these experiences taught me that you have to, I worded this really wrong. I'm so sorry, I didn't realize at the time. You have to BS everything. And it does not stand for what you think. I put it out here. Be spontaneous about everything. Right? Be spontaneous. So, I mean, Jake was spontaneous when he decided he was going to adopt the pug. And that changed his life and the pug's life forever. And he had a family too. I forgot to mention that he had a family. It changed his family's life. And so be spontaneous about everything. Like, you guys weren't in here before, but Christian earlier, he said, follow your first instinct because that's the right instinct. Like, that's exactly what this means. Like, if you want to do something, go do it. Don't think about anything else. Just be spontaneous and be yourself. And diga. Don't get a hobby. That's not what it means because that sounds bad. Like, I'm telling you not to get a hobby. But when you get a hobby, don't think of it as just a hobby. Think of it as something you can learn from. Because hobbies, this is a quote from the movie Psycho, hobbies are meant to pass the time, not fill it. So don't just pass the time with a hobby. Don't just, let time pass as you do this. Learn something from it. Mold yourself and let it create who you are, essentially. Thank you. And these two, essentially, need to find your passion. So a lot of people get this wrong, but Mr. Madonna taught me this. When people think find your passion, they misunderstand it so much. They think find something that you're passionate about. They think like I used to say, soccer is my passion. I was completely wrong. Don't think of it that way. Finding your passion means to find your passion. Be passionate about everything and anything. Because that is the one mistake people make, that they're not passionate about anything. Like, you come into the school as freshmen, like, I don't want to deal with the discipline. Like, be passionate. Come on. It molds you. It makes you who you are. I'm disciplined. I'm so disciplined, and I thank the school for it. Partially. But find your passion. Just be passionate about anything and everything, and that's basically the solution. Follow these 2 steps. I guarantee you'll be passionate about everything. I'm done. Thank you.